This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well, that was a friggin' barn burner, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a barn burner for sure.
First of all, thank you to the Arizona Coyotes for not sending that game to overtime, because I could not invest a single extra minute into this hockey game. I don't want to start the series off with this all the Avs are so much better than Arizona, blah, blah, because then it'll just burn us later when shit happens. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't need that in my life. But holy fuck, that was the most boring hockey I've ever watched.
I mean, especially for like a game one, round one, gearing up for the playoffs here, and we get this boring. I mean, and immediately it made me think back. And like early on in the game, I remember talking to you and being like, oh yeah, okay, I do remember in, early November and the first game, which was like the fourth game into the season against Arizona, and being like, just watching those games and being like, oh yeah, Arizona plays a boring brand of hockey for sure. It might be effective at points. And I mean, it was effective for 51 minutes. For sure. But, I mean, Colorado just stuck with it there, and, just stuck with it. That's about it. Stuck with it. Nazem Kadri just putting pucks on the net, too. What a guy. Had, 7 shots in that game?
Yeah, I think that's what he ended up with. I guess, first things first, we up here in Canada land had to watch the NBC feed, which was, so brutal, first of all.
It's tough.
I kind of watched... First of all, I was trying to find a replay of the Ian Cole penalty, so I was trying to flip on NHL Live and see if I could find the altitude feed and see if they had a replay. No, nobody... It just happened. Nobody knows. Nobody saw it.
It was roughing.
It wasn't even on camera.
What happened? I don't know.
Something
one knows.
Happened.
Just
anyway, I flipped it over and listened to some of the Avs stuff. Man, the NBC crew was just all over the Coyotes and how good they were playing in a game. And it's just they're just waiting for a Phil Kessel goal to make it 1-0 and all this garbage. And it's just what are you guys fucking watching? They had 7 shots after 2. They were awful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if that's what you're looking for in Arizona.
Grubauer had that wicked stop right at the halfway mark pretty much, 10:47 or something.
Yeah.
That wicked glove save.
Yeah, which was
after Cole's horrendous giveaway.
Yeah.
Which we saw a lot of.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't the smoothest.
But that was the only good chance they had all game.
I mean, there were other good chances, but nothing that really went on net and that was dangerous on net. It was squirting out into the slot and it went right through the slot. So.
And you kind of were joking about just now, it's kind of the theme of the day in the NHL where all the lower seeds are just not shooting the puck.
Right.
Carolina, I watched the Carolina game, probably half of it this morning, and was 9 shots after 2, guys. 9 shots after 2.
Yeah.
And then Arizona just one-ups them and goes, we're going to shoot 7.
7
and
shots.
then what? Montreal's got 5 shots through 1.
Something
right
like
now,
that, yeah. They got one
game.
in the last second of the
right?
period.
And it's just you guys know you got to shoot the puck. And, the Avs shot number is a bit inflated. Everybody's probably seen it on Twitter. If you're here, I'm sure you've seen it on Twitter. The shot quality from the Avs for probably 35, 40 minutes was pretty lackluster for sure.
Yeah.
They didn't really do a lot of anything.
It wasn't the highest quality for sure.
They couldn't. the hard part is like, so there's some people that are kind of beaking the Avs on Twitter, it seems, about how they didn't play very well for the first 40 minutes. You got to remember that Arizona is still on the ice. Like, Arizona, every time... Aria, it's a friggin' show.
Don't interrupt us.
The podcast mascot is not happy today. It's just... You made me lose my train of thought. Thanks, dog. Nailed it. We're live, you know. Every time you cross the blue line with Arizona... Okay, first of all, I think we talked about this on the weekend. The rush chances are not going to come.
It's going to be tough.
Okay, the third 3-0 goal was a rush chance because Arizona had to loosen up because they're down 2 goals, which Landeskog made a beautiful play, took that hit like a champ.
Yeah.
Not the greatest hit. But again, it's not going to be suspended. It wasn't a headshot. He didn't make contact with the head. I saw the replay in slow-mo. It didn't contact the head, but it's greasy. It's the blindside head. It's greasy. Anyway, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
But the moment you get into the Coyote zone with possession, they collapse every single guy in that high slot area.
Yeah,
the inner slot, I guess they call it on Sportsnet up here, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, or TSN calls it like the home plate area, whatever. So like inside the dots, end to the net, right?
Yeah.
Every single Coyote is in that box. How are you going to drive inside? Oh, you know what? You know how? Every single time the Avs did that, they just flubbed the puck away. So yes, they have to get better at creating those shots in the middle, but I understand why it happened, and it's one of those things that, of course, it's going to happen in Game 1. They're going to adjust. They adjusted in the second intermission and got things rolling. But man, like Arizona's, yes, and their defense is solid for a reason.
Yeah,
but that's all they do, and that made the Avs look rough in the first 2 periods because the neutral zone you couldn't do shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? Like with that defense, and then with Kuemper being just like on top of his game lately, this whole entire season we saw him just pulling out ridiculous wins and ridiculous amounts of saves for wins, and it was like that for a lot of this game, right? But that's the thing, like you said, like once Arizona has to open up like that to try and create some offense. Like that's in Colorado's favor, obviously, and especially if we can get that first goal, and that's why I think in this series the first goal is going to mean so much,
and that's why I was friggin' terrifying.
That's
about
why
this game.
It was nerve-wracking going through 2.5+ periods where you're like, if Arizona gets a lucky break here and someone makes a nice shot, or there's some kind of weird funky bounce, which they were trying to make some weird funky bounces in front of Grubauer, like every once in a while it'd squirt out there and you're like, oh my god.
10 out of 10 effort from Grubauer tonight.
Yeah, I mean, on his 14 shots, he made some really good, and
it wasn't even just that. The rebound control, when you're not in the game, is so hard to maintain. And there was a lot of those shots, which I don't know. I don't even think they got as many shots, in my opinion, in the third as they got credit for, because there was a few that Grubauer made saves on that were definitely wide, or he was the one glove save. I think it was maybe like 4 or 5 minutes into the period, and it was a cross creaser,
right? And
he just went out and gloved it and blocked the pass. Basically, I'm pretty sure they counted it as a shot, and it was going into the corner.
Yeah,
like not just by the net, into the corner. Right, and it's just stuff like that. It was like really, really good reads, and it calmed everything down for the Avs when they did get a little silly in their own end, because that happened. Ian Cole happened 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be something that that the Avs are going to really have to watch, man, because we know too, like in our first 2 games, which are so much earlier on in the season, but they're going to be coming back every,
Yeah.
We're going to be bringing that up, but like they're opportunistic. That's the whole basis of this club, is opportunistic plays like that. And you got speedy guys like Kessel and Hall and stuff, and everybody were not very prominent in this game whatsoever.
Hinostroza's fast.
Yeah, and Keller and like you got to watch out for it, but the way that they play is, defense first, but if they get those opportunities, that those guys can fly. So you got to be really careful with those mistakes, and especially in the O&D zone, like Ian Cole, man, don't don't give me a heart attack every fucking time. Dude.
I'm not gonna give him crap on his penalty. It was super late, and whatever he did probably warranted a penalty, I would say.
Right, we didn't even get to see. I don't know.
Maybe it was a penalty, maybe it wasn't. It seemed a little shady, but hey,
To me,
Arizona fans, don't worry. You didn't like that interference penalty. That's all I can see on Twitter right now. Is that interference penalty's garbage. What did I say? What did I say on Monday's episode? What did I say after the Vegas game? Those are penalties every day, and they got to be called because Belmar would have been
And you set me straight a little bit because I was a little bit upset about that penalty too. Who was it on?
Either I think it was McKinnon or Donskoy. One of the two.
Donskoy,
both Donskoy and McKinnon.
Oh,
got
it's the
those.
McKinnon one I was a little bit more upset about. But you're right.
Those were
penalty.
the exact same penalties what Stepan just got.
Yeah.
The guy that's not playing the puck, because you can see it in the replay. I can't remember Ekman Larson or Hjalmarsson or somebody went in the corner, played the puck as Stepan's running interference on Belly.
Yeah.
Guess what? If Belly gets a free rein to go smash into that defenseman, that's nice. And Stepan prevented that. It also prevented Belmar to get from getting there and putting pressure on to get a turnover. It prevents a lot of things. You may not like it. I don't give a shit. Nobody likes interference calls, or you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Interference is always that penalty. The blatant ones are suspendable, and the mediocre ones, people don't like them.
Yeah. But
every single time.
Look in the rule book, right? Because it's right there, man.
Right? Because that whole breakout would have been completely different if Stepan doesn't step into Belmar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Belmar is on them, and now all of a sudden it's a shit show.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what Stepan did. And it's a good call by the ref. Yeah, maybe it's not the greatest for the fourth penalty call of the game, but hey, there was a lot of crap that Arizona got away with in this one. Yes, Landeskog got away with that no call high stick near the end of the third too, like mid-third. Right? Like it's both ways. It's playoff hockey. You're going to have to get used to it. But to say that is the reason, man, they had 14 shots.
Yeah, you can't blame that loss on that penalty call.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And yeah, we're talking about the calls now, and we were kind of talking about calls all throughout like the play-in series and the round robins, how, pretty free whistles out there.
Notice how it's tightened up in a hurry?
It tightened up in a hurry, man, for sure. And I'm glad to see it because I like when the refs let the players play.
I'm not saying that there should have been 5 power plays each way.
Yeah.
I'm not. But there also should have been some.
But there could have, for sure.
Because again, right, we were talking about this during the game while watching it, and we talked about it with Corey and Richie on Sunday when we recorded the Monday podcast. I'm not worried about Arizona's power play. But the problem is, and this is exactly what Columbus did to Tampa Bay last year, and what they're trying to do, that ludicrous 5 overtime game
crazy
yesterday. It was 0-0, and that's what I felt this game was going to be. Because it was just like, how are the Avs going to score, and Arizona's not going to do it.
Yeah.
And it was just getting terrifying. Thank God Kadri put that in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, these teams, the reason that a team like Arizona and Columbus can be successful in the playoffs versus in the regular season is all the crap, the hooking, the holding that gets called in the regular season doesn't get called in the playoffs. And those teams can be more successful with that, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's exactly where these teams thrive, and that's the problem, because all of a sudden it's 2-2. Avs took 2 penalties. Arizona took 2 penalties in this game. I mean, obviously there was the coincidentals with like 2 seconds left. Who cares? But the team that played the more hooky, grabby kind of game didn't get penalized extra for it, right? And that's the playoffs. And I'm not going to complain about it because it's part of what I love about the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that's why teams like Arizona and Columbus can be so much better.
Yeah, for sure.
In the playoffs versus in the regular season, right? And, I mean, all the power to you. Defense wins championships, period, pure and simple. That's why I'd like it if Ian Cole would give the puck away a little less.
Yeah, and, I mean, all throughout the game, at least they worked through it. That's the thing about the Avs play offensively. It's going to be a struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we know it's going to be a struggle. And it was a struggle. And the whole... I always go back to, like, that fourth line, man. Because that fourth line all night set the tone. Every time they went out there, it was a good hard shift, good hard forecheck. And, not the nicest plays. We know that all 3 of them are not, like, the most skilled players out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're putting pucks to net and they're getting in those greasy areas, and that's what it's going to be. We saw all the first 2 goals that the Avs scored.
Garbage.
That's garbage goals.
Garbage.
For sure, but that's exactly how we're going to beat
Hard
Kuemper.
work, exactly how you have to beat Kuemper.
Yeah.
100%. And if we go through the game, that first power play of the Avs, they had possession.
Yeah.
They even had like 2 or 3 seam passes in a row.
Yep.
But they couldn't get a shot on the interior because the Arizona penalty kill was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'd much rather see them make those passes. Go get her. Dog time. I'd much rather see possession on a power play because same thing. I think we said it on Monday's episode too. Every power play doesn't have to score, but it's got to generate something. And if you have possession for a while, it's going to generate a lot more than if you're Arizona's first power play where they literally got no shots. They had like no zone time, no real possession time, no real setup.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather have what the Avs had in their first one. Sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the Avs have to do a better job when you get the infrequent power plays because that's what's coming.
Apparently, yeah.
You got to make do with what you got, and you got to force the issue. You got to make the right play. They got to get better at driving the middle of the ice on a power play. Pure and simple. I mean, that's pretty much the theme of this game.
Yeah.
Right? And Kuemper can't save everything. There was a bunch of chances in the third period that he barely got.
Yeah, and I mean, the dude's playing out of his mind. Like, he made a lot of nice saves in that game.
One near, 7-minute mark, I think?
The blocker.
Though that one was like late in the
early
third.
second.
I think that was late in the third. Sorry, like mid third.
Okay, yeah.
I'm thinking that one that went off the post that we never saw a replay of because NBC was super good. But it went off the post, and then I think it was I don't even know who shot it. Somebody shot the rebound, but Kuemper just came across and stuck his pad in there and just got lucky enough to get there before the puck did. And these eventually they're going in. If you shoot 40 times, you're gonna beat the guy. And if you don't, you go to the next game and you hope for better. But at the same time, if you shoot from the perimeter, 40 is 40. It's easy. 40 saves are easy if they're all perimeter shots with no tips.
True, and we saw that kind of heat map of the shots. I don't know if you saw that, but I'm sure you did. And yeah, for like through the first 2 periods, we didn't have like the most high quality chances, but like we've already kind of said, like it's really hard to get that middle when the 5-man collapse in that offensive zone. Like right when there's a dangerous opportunity, it's just 5 men come in. And I mean, that's the whole night we were just saying, you got to get greasy, man. And I'm glad that the Avs stuck with it because if you look at the other side of the token here, if Arizona somehow wins that game, that's a big break in momentum there, right? Like that would hurt so bad, and that's why I was so scared the whole damn game. Just like, please do not get a lucky goal here. Like, hopefully Grubauer's on his game here, and he was the whole game, which is actually like a credit to him because he was not busy at all.
No.
Like, not whatsoever.
14 shots in 2.5 hours
that's sketchy.
A struggle.
Right? Like,
I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine personally getting shot on 14 times in an hour.
Yeah.
In a men's league game.
You've always talked about kind of Freddie Anderson is like that, right? Like, he plays better when he has more shots.
When he gets 40, 45 shots, he's a stud.
So it's
like anything like 35 and up, stud.
Yeah.
Right? And it's and you saw in Carolina, or like in the Boston Carolina game today, they had 9 shots through 2.
Yeah.
It was 2-2. They ended up getting another one in the third. I think they had like 10 or 11 shots in the third or something. They ramped it up a bit, but right, it's sometimes it works, and that's what's scary because it's literally one weird bounce.
Exactly. And it happens. How many times has this happened in the playoffs? Especially
the Philly game right now against Montreal, the one that they have right now, is a tip off his own, off a Montreal stick, and pass Price because he couldn't see it. And that could have easily happened to the Avs tonight.
There was a number of times when it could have happened. Like, how many times are we just watching the game where just like it would squirt out in front of Grubauer? We're just like, ah! Yeah. And it's like, okay, it went through.
Yeah.
We're okay. And like, that's the little like details and the little like, tentativeness is going to be such a big thing in this series.
But back to the game-winning goal scorer, Joe Sakic. I love you.
Joe Sakic is the winner in this one.
Joe Sakic is the winner in this. Nazem
Yeah.
Kadri, which I'm sure everybody saw during the game, had the most shots in the Avs. And you knew he was buzzing. Like some of his shots were kind of garbage, but some of his shots were real nice and Kuemper made real nice saves.
And at the same time, that's like his game though, right? Like
When
that's,
he's
that's
on, he's
the
shooting.
style like that.
Because it shows he's confident in his shot.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I'm going to guess 3 summers ago maybe, Kadri didn't have the greatest season. It was actually, this was the summer right before he scored his 30.
Mm-hmm.
He said in the summer that he was going to work on his wrist shot and he was going to make it lethal.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the radio guys in Toronto, and I agreed. And I'm like, man, you're like 25 years old. Your shot is your shot. And then he comes back and scores 30. And nobody said anything about it. And it stuck in my brain. And he has gone from a place where he kind of was a playmaker. He just did everything right, which he still does for the most part, aside from going red mist on the Leafs once in a while. But he's made it so that his shot is semi-lethal and can score a bunch of goals. He's a 30-goal scorer. He almost did it twice.
Yeah.
And that's not playing with Matthews or anything. That was playing without them.
Right, yeah, he was playing second line and stuff, right?
Yeah. Right? So, it wasn't like they were freebies. But when he's confident in that shot, which he actively worked on and made it better, which is one of those things. Like it's kind of weird when you think about an NHL player. You're like, man, these guys are incredible athletes. They're incredibly talented, but they can still work on a lot of things and actually get better.
Yeah.
And Kadri's done it. And yes, his goal tonight wasn't because his wrist shot was great. It was because he was tough and digging and eventually got it to squeak over Kuemper.
Yeah. Right place.
Yeah, that too. And again, we've said it a million times. That's the goal that had to go in on Kuemper at that moment. You knew it wasn't just going to be some snipe. Kuemper was on fire.
Yeah, there wasn't going to be some high slot, beautiful pass to a nice wrist shot play like Burakovsky wanted for so long in that game. And
or even the
McKinnon was
goal.
trying to make into, like McKinnon had some good plays, which we also, I don't even think we mentioned that yet. McKinnon didn't even have a freaking shot tonight. The first time since when?
2017?
Like,
let me try and find that stat again.
It's been a long time since
Evan from October of 2017.
Like, jeez.
Was it Evan from DNVR with the awesome tweet? The Avs had 40 shots. None of those were from McKinnon. Good luck with that, Arizona.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, like...
And, like, it's not like he wasn't trying to create something.
Again,
but also...
Right? It's another one of those things. Arizona did a very, very good job eliminating that top line.
For sure. And because they close off that rush so well. Like, they got to be one of the best teams in the league to completely negate your rush.
Oh, yeah.
Your rush play is nothing to them.
Man, part of why that game was so bad or just so boring to watch was because the neutral zone is like mud.
Yeah. Stuck in the mud, as Conor McGregor would say. A terrible fucking Irish accent, but I'm out here.
You're really killing it.
But yeah, I mean, like McKinnon he was trying to make some plays, and I thought like him and Makar they weren't as dangerous as they have been.
No,
by any means. But that's the thing, and that's the biggest change in this Avalanche team this year is it doesn't matter. Whereas, last year, we didn't have Makar throughout the season.
Dude,
last year,
if this series was last year, this game is still happening.
It very well could be.
Because nobody else would have scored.
Yeah.
Right?
But
it's painful.
And like, yeah, we've been talking about Kadri too, and like we were chatting throughout the game just how awesome that second line has been. That newly formed second line since, the whole pause and everything. With Chuchi out there and Landeskog with Kadri, which they did put Landeskog up on the top line there for probably about, a period and a half?
Well, they
maybe
started
even?
the third, I know.
Yeah, and throughout the second, there was quite a few shifts there. Taking Nemestikov off, and which I was saying, like, I don't think that's any discredit to Nemestikov's play. It's just Bednar's trying to get, like,
somebody had
something going. We got to get a goal in here, man, because, like... And that's the thing, too, is you know that Colorado was feeling that throughout the game. Is like, we have to score the first goal. Like, it has to happen. We can't let up something. There wasn't anything too crazy. Okay, there was some bad Cole giveaways. There's a few plays by Zadorov that were kind of soft, and I'll say there even was some soft plays by Girard, which could have been a lot better handled anyway. But they weren't. We never really gave Arizona anything. Like, our defensive game was pretty good tonight.
For the most part, like, there was the odd play. Again, the odd giveaway.
Yeah.
That was another thing. And this is a perfect time to talk about it. Arizona didn't have a chance that they generate, like a really good chance that they generated themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, pressure leads to, but like, they didn't pass the puck up the ice and break in and make it a good rush chance. The only time they got a good chance was when they forced the Avs to make a turnover.
Yeah.
And if you can clean that up, I don't know what they're gonna do.
And
yes, it's very easier said than done, especially when they're creating the pressure.
Yeah.
But if you force them to make a play, it's gonna be very tough for them.
Exactly. They're like, kind of like we were talking about. Like, they're like that very opportunistic team. They're not like a total take charge kind of offense.
Modern day New Jersey.
yeah, and that's a good way to put it, right?
It's the New Jersey Devils with Martin Brodeur playing the 1-2-2 that just waited for you to fuck up and go score a breakaway or 2-on-1 shorty or something, and then win a game 1-0.
Yeah,
that's what they seem like.
Yeah, frustrate your opponent defensively for their offense, and then capitalize when they try and maybe do something too fancy, which could have happened a few times. And there weren't even too many, odd man rushes tonight. Like, I feel like we were pretty tight, and that's the kind of defense we need. And I feel like the end of our season before that pause really kind of everybody settled down and really settled into that defensive structure that we need. And it's showing now. Like, we didn't forget that. No. And we're still on top of that. And that's like a big thing for this team, because
thankfully,
generally, like, over like the last fucking 4 years, that it's been not even close to that sound in our D zone. Yeah, sure, we can score, but we can also let in a lot of goals.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. And I mean, we already kind of talked about Grubauer, like 14 shots, shutout. Yeah, he got the shutout, okay? He didn't let in any goals.
Still counts.
And he was solid, man.
Yep.
And I mean, nothing to complain about with him. Like, he looked great.
Again,
and he's reading plays super well, too.
Yeah. And again, remember, it was the case of like Jared Bednar going into picking who's going to play. Doesn't matter because they're both going to be fine.
Yeah, he's not worried because it doesn't matter. Exactly. Yeah.
Now, for those Vegas Golden Knights, on the other hand, holy shit, were people pissed when Leonard played yesterday.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, was it today or yesterday?
It was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah.
My brain hurts. There's so much hockey.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, they beat
yesterday.
the Hawks 4-1 last night, which was kind of expected. I feel like that's probably, we were talking about that 4 or 5 games,
Also, that Nathan McKinnon stat. He hasn't had no shots on goal in a game for 242 regular season and playoff games in a row.
Yeah, and he's like right up there. I didn't actually look at the shot totals at the end of the season, if we're going to call it that. But I'm sure he was right in the top 5. Like, I'm sure he's up there.
That's 3 full seasons of hockey. Basically.
The guy loves to shoot the puck, and that's why, I mean, like, he's going to get his chances in this series, for sure.
You think somebody's going to make an adjustment tomorrow in practice? That's the guy.
He's more than capable of making adjustments, too. And I mean, that's the thing with the Coyotes. It's gonna be just a lot of grindy offensive forecheck, like a lot of forechecking. And we were talking about the game against Vegas, and there was a little bit of a lack of forecheck. I feel like that was honestly too the perfect team to play just before going into meaningful games. That was probably the perfect team to play.
I think St. Louis would have been okay too.
Probably, yeah.
Same game, right? Or similar game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
That high tempo, high aggressive forecheck.
It's kind of like what we said with Corey and Richie, right? Right. Are you worried about the Avs coming out of the round robin versus a team that's played meaningful hockey already.
Yeah.
And because of the West round robin, I wasn't worried because it was good competitive hockey still. Whereas the
Minus
East round
Dallas.
robin, it looked like 2 of the 4 teams didn't give a shit
Yeah.
in Boston and Washington.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
And look who had issues. Boston and Washington. Yes, Boston won today, but Washington didn't. And Washington
didn't
blew a
look too
2-goal
good.
lead, no problem.
Yep.
Right? So it's one of those things. Like I'm really glad that the Avs are out of the West and where that round robin actually was legitimate, good quality playoff style hockey for the most part. Obviously, the Dallas Stars didn't really show their defensive might,
It's the only
but they could have.
exception. And they lost to the Flames too.
But yeah, so like again, Kadri gets on the board with a greasy one. Comfort, surprise, surprise, he gets a greasy one. Weird.
Yeah, and he was looking good all game too, man. And that's the thing. Those grindy players. These players are going to be so important. Like how important was like Nishushkin tonight, driving plays and using that big body, getting in the
first
corner.
penalty of the game.
Yeah, winning big battles in the corner. Like that's going to be the style of play all series long. For a fact, there's not going to be a runaway. I maybe there's one game that the Colorado are going to win big in this one. And that would be purely, I think, due to Arizona falling apart.
Maybe.
But if they keep that system together, it's going to be
Well,
tight.
I'm curious as to what happens in this hockey game. Like, say this was the second period instead of the third. Like, I don't know what would have happened after 3-0.
Yeah, and we saw that in the first game against Arizona in the season where it was locked up tight. Pretty much the same as this game went. For just over 2 periods, that game was locked up tight.
Yeah.
Like, no one was budging. Nothing much to show offensively. And then all of a sudden, it just opened up. And both teams are rushing back and forth. So, like, I don't know if we see a game or two like that where maybe Colorado can put one in before there's 7 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
And then how's Arizona going to respond? Because I think that's going to be a big thing too. Because, yeah, you guys can play this defensive game. Blah. Yeah. Good for you. Clogging up your zone. What are you going to do offensively when you're down by 2?
When you're desperate.
5 minutes into the second period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carey Price just made an absolutely bonkers save.
He's killing it. He was pretty mad at who was that.
If somehow somebody hasn't seen this by the time they listen to this episode, if they're not watching live right now, oh my God. Insane.
Carey Price, man. You never know with those Montreal Canadiens what they're going to do here.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Man, this stick save by Price he's like laying beside the net and he's just like reaches out and
Yes.
But yeah, so the first 2 goals, not great. But once the Avs could make a play, surprise, surprise, the perfection line or whatever you want to call them, the big boys.
Yeah.
Tic-tac-toe and Rantanen just taps her in.
Yeah.
And oh my. And that's the thing with the Kadri power play goal, right? Rantanen had a beauty chance from McKinnon. McKinnon makes that beautiful seam pass. All Rantanen has to do is cradle that puck and shoot. And he flubs it.
Just can't get a hold of it. Yeah.
And I was freaking out.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a few times like that tonight where I don't know if it's just the pass was just a bit off or the reception was just a bit off, but not quite connecting. And it's probably, partially due to, I know this is going to get repetitive, but Arizona's defense, they cut off those lanes so well too. It's not just like the collapsing and stopping shots. It's blocking those cross seam passes. But it's like in our power plays, I feel like we had some good power plays tonight, but we just need to get pucks to net. Like when it comes down to it, we got this hot goalie.
They don't have to
Hopefully
be so
he's
fancy.
rattled too. You let 3 goals in late, Kuemper. Be rattled. Be rattled.
That'd be nice.
Please. Like, oh man, it's too bad we don't have fans. Are you nervous? It's not Bennington. Maybe Kuemper will get nervous. I don't know.
Maybe.
But like, it's like we just need to get the puck to the net. And I know we love to be very beautiful with our goals, especially those top 2 lines. I mean,
Bar downer doesn't count.
yeah, and that's like Burakovsky. It goes for Burakovsky a lot tonight. Like, there's a couple times where he had like really good opportunities to just fire the puck, man. You got a good shot, just fire it right away. But no, he's trying to do a little toe drag and snipe a top shelf, and you just don't have enough time. You don't have enough time against this team, and you don't have enough time if you wait and Kuemper gets set up.
If he's there, he's got it.
Yeah, so, I mean, maybe they probably figured that out, as time went on. Yeah, in the third period, we just started shoveling everything into the fucking front of the net, and that's how we got the first 2 goals, basically. So, just fire the puck, man. That's what it's about.
Yep. Game 2, Friday at noon.
Yeah, with the back-to-back, we play on Saturday as well. What time's the Saturday game, actually? Is that a later game?
Saturday's 1.
Oh, so both 2 afternoon games in a row?
Yeah, do you know why? And again, this is another one for Avs fans that are complaining about the shitty schedule.
You have to know. You
have to understand that we're playing the Arizona Coyotes, and there's 4 people that are trying to watch the game from there.
4 people!
You can't compete. You can't compete with Vancouver, St. Louis. You can't compete with the other teams in the West. You just can't do it. With Arizona, I don't want to be mean, but it is what it is.
Oh, but shout out to the European Avalanche fans, because you guys actually get prime time for you guys.
That's true.
I remember seeing a tweet from Eurolanche, the
nice.
Avs kind of European kind of group Twitter page that they have. They're like, yes, thank God we can watch some games live. Don't have to watch it at like 4 a.m. But hell yeah. So, but I mean, it's fucking 2020. What do you expect, dude?
This is
We're
true.
watching hockey at 1 p.m, and
That's
it
true.
means something, okay?
And to be honest, would you rather be working?
Yeah, let's be serious
And
here.
I know you're not working if the game's on.
Ain't nobody working. Yeah.
I'm not working, but that's another reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, it kind of had a similar feel to that Blues game where just not a lot, and then all of a sudden everything, and just a huge finish in the last 7 minutes. I'm glad they locked it down for Grubauer, for sure.
Yes. I'm so glad he got that shutout. That would have been fucking painful if he
I felt
lost
like
that.
I was going to jinx it, but because it kept running through my mind.
Yeah, it's like, stop thinking those
thinking
dark
about it.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Don't even say it in your mind.
So, good
Yeah.
for them. And, I mean, hopefully we can repeat the result on Friday, but not the execution.
If we could have the defensive execution, that's cool.
This certainly does feel like... So, I officially didn't make predictions because that's a superstition I can't handle. with
We went
myself.
through that too much this year.
But, man, does it ever feel like a 6-game series, this one?
Yeah, and I mean, there's probably going to be a game here where they steal a game because Kuemper's better and they get those opportunistic goals. Cole gives up a little softy and it's a 2-1 the other way or something. You
Game
never know.
1 from Vegas and Chicago feels like a 4-game series.
Yeah.
Game 1 from this series definitely feels like there's some bumps in the road coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying Chicago's not going to do that to Vegas either, but the way Vegas just kind of manhandled Chicago last night,
Yeah.
it was not a good feeling if you're a Blackhawks fan.
Kind of just ran him over. It was just, a pounding after a pounding.
I'm sure the Oilers would have got the same treatment.
I would assume.
But anyway, for those that are watching live, thanks for checking us out. And for those listening to the podcast on Thursday, it's game day tomorrow. And
Hell yeah.
let's go Avs. The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter @HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.